Good evening, adventurers, and welcome back to the maze. I am the master of mazes, and with me is the apprentice, Stephen. Good to have you all here again. It's been a minute since we've been online. We've had some scheduling conflicts, things going on, life as we know it, but we're back, and we plan to stay here for a good long while. So we hope that you will continue to join us as we continue to put these up, and we talk to you about RPG news, tabletop gaming, comics, movies, and just whatever tickles our fancy in the genres of sci-fi and fantasy. So let's jump right into things with a community Kickstarter shout out. There is a new Kickstarter that's coming soon. We'll post a link in the description for you if you're interested for something called Tales from the Winter Vale. This is going to be a winter horror anthology for D&D 5e. I saw it when I was kind of perusing Kickstarter, which gets me in trouble, but my wife is she's very forgiving. So I do go on there from time to time to look at things and try to support some of the third party content that comes out. And the Winter Veil looks pretty good. So give them a look, give them a like, give them a follow. I believe they're going to be starting sometime first week or second week of September. But we'll have that link for you in the description if you're interested. After that, we'd like to talk about a little RPG news because there is a few things that are going on. Steve, I think you had something that's kind of pretty close to home for you.
Yeah, a couple things. So we talked about Dungeon Crawler Carl and how it was referred to us by a friend on the Discord. I got a pop up on my Google News the other day that they're actually making a RPG for Dungeon Crawler Carl, so that'll be very cool. If it's based off of the books, they get pretty wacky, so I'm interested to see how some of those mechanics and how the game works. But excited to see that. And I also saw a superhero TTRPG called Masks. This will be I guess, a reboot, like a soft reboot of an older TTRPG. I remember playing it a long time ago when I was into like DC Universe Online and City of Heroes, which were like superhero MMOs. And I got really into like comic books, and this was one of the TTRPGs I used to look up. Well, the original one was, and it kind of faded with time. Well, they're bringing it back, so that's very cool. I looked online, not a ton of info in the PC Gamer articles I found on it, but it's official. It's coming back. So as soon as we get some more pictures and more information, we'll probably share it here. But excited for those
Yeah,
two for sure.
yeah. I used to back in the late '80s, early '90s, used to play Marvel superheroes, which was
Mm-hmm.
a lot of fun. It was kind of cool as a game master running it and bringing in, especially with me, I was such a huge Marvel nerd in the '70s, '80s, '90s, and kept up with a lot of the different storylines, a lot of the different comic lines. Spider-Man, X-Men, Iron Man, Fantastic Four, all of them. So I could weave kind of the players' tales into the current timeline with comics and
Mm-hmm.
Earth 616. It was kind of neat. But yeah, I'd love to get into another superhero game at some point. Maybe Mask might be that it. We'll have to keep an eye on it and keep you all posted as things come out on it. So
Mm-hmm.
after that, we definitely are going to keep our eyes out on that Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Mm-hmm.
I keep promising people I'm going to read the first book. I promise you, when I
It's
get a few minutes,
it
I will sit
it's
down and
aw-
read
it's
it.
the first book is so good. It's awesome.
I've heard nothing but good things about
It's
it from
great. Yeah.
everybody, so
Yeah.
I will definitely check it out. So, big news. Posted this over on Instagram earlier this week. News coming out of Gen Con 2025. Matt Mercer of Critical Role fame is going to be stepping down as the Dungeon Master. He will not be the Dungeon Master after the conclusion of Campaign 3, which is wrapping. Campaign 4, which is on the horizon, is going to have a new game master. Matt Mercer is going to be going on to the other side of the screen to be a player. And Brennan Lee Mulligan of Dimension 20 fame is being tapped and has been confirmed as the game master for campaign 4. Definitely interesting news. I've seen Matt a couple of times, like when he played in the Exandria game. He was a great player in that. Kind of a wacky player. He always has fun with his characters. But it'll be interesting to see him on this side of the screen. And Brennan Lee Mulligan is a great DM, so I think that it's a good choice. And it'll be interesting to see where Campaign 4 goes. So if you're interested in that, we'll have a link for that news article in the description as well. After that, not really a lot came out of Gen Con that really caught our interest. I'm sure some of you will probably disagree with me, but we looked for kind of high end articles, didn't really see much other than the Matt Mercer or Brennan Lee Mulligan announcement. But in other RPG news, Matt Colville had a very successful Kickstarter on BackerKit, raising over $4 million for his game, which the new game title is out, called Draw Steel. It is going to be a brand new game, all his own rules. I'm sure that there's probably a lot of things that he's picked and choose from different game systems and things he's made up on his own, but it definitely sounds like an interesting system. D&D Shorts did a review of it today that launched earlier this morning, so I'll have a link for that video in the description for you guys to go over and check it out. I won't talk a whole lot about it because I don't have a copy of the PDF, which I understand came out about 9 or 10 days ago, because I did not back it. It wasn't something that was really high on my priority list, but I will probably pick up a copy of the PDF at some point just to look it over and kind of give you guys a review of the rules. That being said, Daggerheart, which we have talked about a couple of times, we've heard a lot of good reviews, mixed reviews on it. I would give you a review of my own if I had a copy of it, but good luck. You cannot find a copy of it anywhere, not online, not in any game stores, not anywhere at all. Even Darrington Press is saying they're having to put people on a waiting list for it. So they apparently sold out their third print run the 1st of August. How many was in that print run? Who can say? Darrington Press has not released any numbers whatsoever for first, second, or third print run, so we don't know how many copies have actually been sold. It seems like that would be something that you would want to brag about, but Darrington Press has been pretty quiet about it. But once I can get my hands on a copy of that book, I will read through it and review it for you guys and let you know what we think of that as well. Other than that, we've got some video game news. Steven, you picked up on something coming out.
Yeah, so I was a huge fan of, before I even really looked much into the Pathfinder tabletop games, I love the video games. Pathfinder, Kingmaker, and Wrath of the Righteous were awesome turn-based RPG video games. Kind of in the same vein as now the super famous Baldur's Gate 3. These came out a few years before that, and before like the Divinity. Well, Divinity and Divinity 2 were popular as well, but the Pathfinder games were hugely successful on PC at least, and I guess they've decided to shift into Starfinder, which is obviously Pathfinder's sister game, and they are releasing a game that looks super interesting. And as I'm reading another article I just found, it's called Afterlight is the game, and it's got a bunch of the same voice actors from Baldur's Gate 3, which is great because that game had incredible voice acting. And the voice actor director is Neil Newborn, who played Astarion in Baldur's Gate 3, which is very cool. But it's going to have turn-based combat, which just like Baldur's Gate and all that, but it's also going to have turn-based spaceship combat, which is very cool.
Oh, cool.
So I'm assuming there's some kind of exploration and spacefaring and some warship gameplay and stuff, which is super cool. I didn't know that. The first few articles I read didn't say anything about that in it, so that's very awesome. And
That's awesome.
as I get older, I'm kind of more like I've always loved fantasy, but I'm starting to really appreciate sci-fi more and more. The older I get, it just seems like sci-fi. Almost everything I find is just so good. So any kind of sci-fi, Starfinder stuff like that, I can get on PC. I'm really looking forward to that. I don't see a release date, so this is probably a work in progress, more to come. But
I'm sure it's probably a few years out.
it looks really. There's a lot of talent tied to this, not just on the voice actor front. I mean, the developers, a bunch of people from studios I've heard of before are working on it. So very interested. And in this, just kind of a spin off of this topic. Apparently, they're talking about a Pathfinder-based MMO. If this article is true, and that's news to me. So if that happens, that's very cool. That's very cool.
I'm not surprised. I mean, with the success of games like Elder Scrolls, and then with the success of Baldur's Gate 3, there's definitely a interest there. The market is definitely there if the right game comes out and it's done well. And Larian Studios is out there. They are no longer tied to any kind of contractual agreement with Wizards of the Coast or Hasbro, so they would be the perfect candidate to go to get them to head up a project for Pathfinder.
I think that Larian has basically just soft confirmed that they are working on Divinity 3. which
Okay.
for people that haven't played, I mean, a lot of people played Baldur's Gate 3, obviously, because it's
Right.
Dungeons and Dragons. It's an IP that a lot of people know, and I love Baldur's Gate. Like that game is one of my
Right.
favorite games of the decade. Um, I cannot overstate how good Divinity and Divinity 2 was. Like it's its own IP. It's not Dungeons and Dragons or anything like that, but it's just the same love and care and just pure skill went into those games. I went into Baldur's Gate, and you can get them on
Right.
Steam and on PlayStation and stuff for like $5, and there's like 200 hours of gameplay there. Like I just cannot recommend those games enough. So anyway,
I need to check this out. I've
they're
heard a
they're
lot about it, but I've never looked
they're
into
the
it.
kind of
So,
games that like people buy because they're so cheap and they're so well rated, and they just never play. And it's just like breaks my heart because I played those games when they came out and they were like eye opening to me. You know, they're Larian just does not miss, at least yet, and I can't imagine if they're making Divinity 3 or you know somehow they do get tied to the Pathfinder, Starfinder IP stuff. I mean, it's going to be insane. But anyway,
yeah.
Starfinder Afterlight, excited for that. Keep an eye on that.
I'm kind of surprised that WotC hasn't answered with their own space-based game. TSR had Star Frontiers back in the day. A great game. I had a lot of fun with that. It was TTRPG, and it was set obviously in the future. There were different alien races you could play, and then they eventually launched a supplemental game called Nighthawks, which was basically space combat, and you could have combat from everything from fighters up to battleships or dreadnoughts. And an alien race that was a reptilian race that was they were kind of they were the antagonist for the Alliance, and there was some great mechanics to it for the 80s, and I thought it was a fun game. I wish I still had my copy, but I lost that copy as well. And I'm always keeping my eyes out for a good copy in great shape that's complete to pick up to add back to the collection. But definitely something I think that WotC's missing out on by not
Yeah,
picking up something like that.
yeah. I
Because
mean,
Starfinder has done so well for Paizo. So
well, I mean, this is probably a topic for like a longer discussion, but the fact that I feel like WotC misses out on every kind of media in general, like other than tabletop and like obviously the move like that one movie Chris Pine was in, like they have the only officially licensed Dungeons and Dragons games that I know of was that one that was kind of like a Dark Souls esque game that came out like 5 years ago,
right,
and I actually had an okay time with it, but I think it was basically not a successful game. And then Dungeons and Dragons Online, which has been out for like 20 years. If you look at that game right now, the graphics are so old. But they are still supporting it. Like they're still releasing
yeah,
updates for it. I remember playing the original when they released the Ravenloft expansion. I played it like 12 years ago. I feel like it was so long ago,
yeah.
and that's the only games. Like why not? I mean, again, I don't want to go forever, but like, why? How are you ignoring this whole sector of
I don't know.
media?
I
Like,
don't. I think it's that. I think they're just
out of
looking
touch or
for.
something? I don't know.
I think they're out of touch with what people want. I mean that's obvious, and we could sit here all day and talk about the misses that WotC and Hasbro have had
Yeah,
handling this IP.
it's unreal.
So at Gen Con, supposedly Dan Ayub, who is the vice president who took over for Jess when she left,
Hmm.
he is stating that we know we've had some misses, we know we've made some mistakes, but we want to make this game not for you but with you. So he's trying to take this angle of the game as it progresses and the IP grows, and whatever changes D&D
Hmm.
takes down the road, it's going to be a collaborative effort with the fan base.
Yeah, it's
I
just
don't really see that happening. I think it's lip service, but we'll see. I'm willing to give them an
like the
opportunity
the
because
most
it's a great company.
successful, video game or digital media that they've ever done was Baldur's Gate 3, and Larian Studios had asked them for 10 years to do it. And WotC
Yeah,
would not let. That's why Divinity or even exists because
right.
Larian wanted D&D and they wouldn't give it to them. And when they
Yeah,
finally let them have it, they did it. It was the best-selling game of the year, and then they cut off the license. So
yeah,
Larian couldn't even make expansions for the game for the most profitable D&D media of all time. They could not support it. And it's like, dude, these people just made you so much money. Just let them whatever they ask for, just give it to them. Like like, what is the problem? Like, I don't know. In my opinion, like, and this is just my opinion. I know we don't like to get like too mean on the show, but like, it just screams like way out of touch. People on a board making decisions at WotC that like they have no idea what people are asking for because they're not on the internet looking at it. They're just like, what do people say? Like, what do the same outlets say that we've been listening to since the '90s? Okay, do that thing, and it's
I don't
like,
know. I don't know if they actually recorded the conversation where Dan Ayub supposedly made these comments. I'm hoping that somebody's got it on video somewhere. I'll have to do some research to see. But I'm hoping that somebody would have asked him, okay, how long have you been playing Dungeons and Dragons?
yeah,
Are you a dungeon master? Are you a player? How long has your group been together?
mm-hmm,
Do you homebrew or are you running modules? I mean, I would feel more comfortable with Dan or whoever's at the head of D&D knowing that they're actually not only a developer and this is their day job, but they actually play in this world
right.
too.
I mean, I think that's when you
So
run into projects that just kind of it's obvious when a project is done by people that love the actual the thing that they're doing. Like again
yeah,
with Larian, like when they do a divinity, or I mean, you could doesn't even have to be the Larian. It could be anybody. When somebody
right,
is like this is they are part of the community too, and they're making a product that they themselves want to consume too. It's
right,
obvious when it's not just a bunch of people in suits that went to business school making decisions
yeah,
for an IP. So
yeah,
anyway, hopefully when he says things like that, he means them and awesome things are happening. So we'll see.
hopefully. We'll see. So let's jump into the DM's corner. So we're going to try to make this a segment every time we do the MazeCast. Just give a little bit of advice for new DMs or for DMs who are kind of feeling like, I could use a hint or something like that to help me at my table to engage my players. One of the things I have found over the years, not only as a dungeon master, but also on the other side of the screen as a player, is when you bring visual aids into the game. I think it really engages the players. It kind of is that wow moment for them when you say, okay, when you get back to your room in the inn, you find a note that's been slid under the door. And then you actually take out a physical note and you hand it to the players and let them open it and read it.
Mm,
I've actually taken paper that I got decent quality paper. I used a calligraphy pen to actually write out like a handwritten note and then use it. I age it by using but basically soaking it in tea and then letting it dry, kind of making it look brittle and old or worn. Things like that for like treasure maps or for missives. Um, Also handing them you find a strange coin, and I've actually found a strange coin at like a yard sale or at a flea market or something, and I'll hand them this strange coin, or even a picture, that you can hand to them. Here's a picture of this coin that you found, or here's a picture of this strange broken sword. Things like that will help engage your players. It gives them a visual reference point for things that you're talking about or describing to them, and it kind of adds a little bit more flavor and immersion to the game. So if you're not using physical handouts or things of that nature, I would highly suggest you try it out and see how it's received at your table. Let us know what you think and drop us some comments. Let us know how it works out for you. Stephen, we're going to jump over to the Apprentice's Corner, and I think you had some more D4 news for us.
yeah, I'll kick it off with some industry news. Rod Ferguson is leaving Blizzard and the Diablo team after 5 years. That one is interesting.
Yeah.
He has been the head of the Diablo team for more launches than any Diablo head has ever been.
Wow.
Um, he was there for the Diablo Immortal launch for mobile games. He was there for obviously the D4 launch, the Vessel of Hatred launch. Um, he's been there for a lot, and I think he was one of the guys that I really looked to. And when the Diablo 4 would struggle or fall, and especially during the Immortal launch, that game was a mess and pay to win, crap that all mobile games are.
Mm-hmm.
It always felt like, oh well, you know what? I don't really support this. I don't like this, but Rod is there and he'll fix it.
Right.
And I've been a very vocal like Diablo guy. I mean, I am the first one to tell you it's not a perfect game. There's a lot of things I wish were different. However, the moment to moment gameplay is super fun. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
huge like min maxer. I love to build different builds and stuff. So there's things there for me that keep me interested. But seeing him go is very bittersweet. I haven't seen any news about who's taking that general manager job.
Right.
So interesting. And part of me wonders, there's been a lot of speculation with the next expansion. Um, Blizzard's owned by Activision, so they're numbers driven. So, there's a lot of competition in the action RPG market that just wasn't there years ago. I mean, I remember playing just god awful RPG games because there wasn't anything else to play. If Diablo 3, basically the game was in maintenance mode and Path of Exile was still getting its feet, so it felt like if Path of Exile had a bad league, there was no ARPGs to play, and they're my favorite style of game. I mean, I went kind of from always playing FPS games to loving action RPGs. I love the seasonal cycle of like every 3 months you get to start a fresh character. It's almost like it's the same allure of a D&D campaign where you've played out a character for a long time, you feel like there's nothing left for that character, and then like you almost get a new love for the game when it's like, oh, I'm going to roll a new character. Well, that happens every 3 months. And like every big ARPG, that's every 3 months there's a new season. So, I mean, not to ramble on too long, but him going, I feel like it has to be indicative of some internal turmoil at Blizzard about the next expansion. Because this last expansion, Vessel of Hatred, was kind of meh at launch. Nobody was really asking for a Spiritborn, which I kind of jokingly call the Jungle Monk because it's the monk from Diablo 3, but just with a different coat of paint on it. Everybody wanted a paladin. Everybody wanted an expansion like this typical Diablo expansion, and they wanted it to be a paladin, and it wasn't a paladin. And I don't know. I'm just worried that him leaving is because of he couldn't agree on what the next expansion was, and we're gonna get news that the next expansion is something else that's very weird. We'll see. But I'm still liking the game a lot. I still love Diablo. Dad actually jumped in. I finally got Dad online and we played. Had a good time. I'm on my third or fourth Druid build now. I've played Pulverize all the way through. I played Earthspike. I played Companions, which I still have a loadout for. I'm currently playing a Lightning Storm build that's leveraging a different method of doing the damage that isn't what everybody else is doing, which I don't know if I've seen anyone play Lightning Storm anyway, but this one's leveraging the Gathlin's Birthright Helm, which nobody runs, which it's got a cool mechanic that runs, it's a different way to do the same thing, which I like to do. And I also have a support druid, which is basically just a buff machine and a nerf machine to the enemies, and I was running Dad through dungeons running that build, and we were just cooking through.
Steven basically is playing a support build that he was just basically running through, cleaning out the dungeons, and I was coming in behind him and just basically picking up the loot, picking up the XP.
It
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're trying to get Dad to 60 so that we can get him to Torment 1 and start the end game, and we got him basically from level 1 to 55, and between yesterday and today, probably 3-4 hours of gameplay where we got him almost max level. Having a lot of fun. I'm used to playing alone, so it's really fun to have somebody in the party with me. So looking forward to the end game there and kind of getting his opinion, and he'll be able to chime in too with some of the Diablo stuff here, because honestly, I have a couple games that I keep on my on my wheel here where I play one and then I move on to the other one. I play that for a couple days, I move back, and Diablo's always on it. I have a feeling that I'm gonna try Marvel Rivals after. I know it's been out probably 6 months to 8 months now, and it's basically Overwatch, but not bad, and also Marvel, which is fun. And it's got Dad's character. It's got Moon Knight in it. Moon Knight. The Daredevil slander will not go unpunished. I can't believe he's not in the game. I looked up. What is that about? I looked up. Is Daredevil coming to Marvel Rivals? And somebody put up a video saying oh, I got leaked gameplay of Daredevil in Marvel Rivals, and I was so excited. And I clicked on the video, and it was a blank video because they're making fun that he's blind. So his POV would be black screen. Oh. And I was like, you have to be kidding me. I looked I was so excited. I saw it. I'm like, oh my God, he's coming out. But anyway, it's Marvel Rivals from what I've played. I played a couple rounds. I played the practice range just to kind of get used to some heroes, and I jumped into a couple games. It's very fun. It's very much like Overwatch. You have to be extremely on your toes. I was playing Cloak and Dagger, who's like a support character, and then I played Spider-Man because somebody else got support, or what's called Tactician. So I played Spider-Man, who's like a DPS class. And I'm not used to the mobility. Like in Overwatch, it's very much that game almost plays like Mech Warrior. There's like lanes, and you fight in the lane, and there's no like not any real verticality. Um, as Spider-Man, you can literally shoot your web wherever you want and web swing around like you're free roam like in a Spider-Man video game. It's insane. So it adds a different layer, and it's been a lot of fun. It's a free game, so I'll definitely get Dad to jump in and play Moon Knight with me, and we'll play around and maybe have some news about that one in another video. But yeah, Diablo's fun. Marvel Rivals is starting to be fun now. So the only other thing in video game news, or my Apprentice corner I wanted to touch base on, is Battlefield 6 is obviously the open beta is happening now. Happened this weekend, and it's happening next weekend. All of my friends are playing it. The feedback is mostly good. It's a beta, and I think it's an actual beta, not like a Call of Duty beta where they just release the game early and make you pay $60 to play it. This seems like there's some rough around the edges things. There's some map exploits where people get into the top of buildings, and you know, I think it's funny because people are like really soft now, and they're like, this has to be patched out. And I come from the Modern Warfare 2 days with the elevator glitch that never got patched out, where people are just shooting up to the sky, and like you just shoot that guy and it's over. Like, so like whatever, you know. So I don't know. It looks fine to me.
There's always going to be exploits.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody's always going to have exploits or hacks or mods. I mean,
that's part of the charm, in my opinion. Like, unless it's something,
a grain of salt with those games.
Unless it's something crazy, like he can see through walls or whatever. Like, if the exploit is that he can get to the top of a building that you're not supposed to get to the top of, like, who cares, man? Anyway, the game looks good. I just, you know, it's only out 2 days and it's like 80 gig. I'm not gonna have time to make that worth it. I might try to catch it next weekend. It depends on, you know, the family schedule and stuff. I don't know. But regardless, I'm excited for that game to come out. They're always good. I feel like Battlefield has lost its way, Call of Duty has lost its way, and I feel like the only real shooter, and it's probably why I got out of shooters, is when the Battlefield games weren't so hot and Call of Duty is doing Call of Duty things. It's like, what shooter am I supposed to play? You know, that's actually why I got into Overwatch originally, because it was the only team-based co-op. Like, it felt like it was a place for a gamer like me, who's admittedly a gamer that's not a zoomer anymore, like a Warzone guy. I want to play a team-based game where I'm helping my team, and there's tactics, and you don't get instantly killed by something. You have time to react, and so that's what Overwatch was, and Battlefield's always been that. So anyway, this looks good. Excited to see what happens. I don't even know what like the actual release date is. I don't know if this is like it's coming out now for the beta, and then they're going to release it in October. I feel like it's normally an October November game, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's normally November. So if you guys have any suggestions for us for first person shooters or team based games like that kind of has that Battlefield feel, drop us comments down in the comment section. Let us know. Give us your suggestions. We'll be happy to check them out. So that's going to bring us up to our end of the MazeCast questions. I think we have something coming over from our friend the Apprentice today. What did you have for us, Steven?
Well, I mean, I've recently been listening to a podcast. I guess it's a podcast, but there's a guy on YouTube that puts up he does videos every week where he does, like, you know, I'm a monster. It's called Lighthouse Horror is his name, by the way. Shout out. Out of nowhere. Shout out to you, guy.
There you go.
But he does. I found him recently looking up, actually researching something for one of our videos, and I watched his I'm a Monster Hunter and Here Are Some of My Stories video, and I was like, okay, I'll just listen to this while I'm at work. And I was like, man, this guy's actually he's a really good storyteller. Right. And he's got me into cryptids now. Like, he released his newest video, looks like I work as a delivery driver and this is my scariest story. And they're about like an hour long, you know, and it's just kind of short stories that he writes. But anyway, he got me onto cryptids again, which isn't that hard to do. So I was going to ask you, what is your favorite cryptid? If you had to pick, like, you know, I mean, it can involve any number of reasons why it's your favorite, if it's where it's from, or...
You know, I'd have to say I mean, the thing that comes immediately to mind is like Sasquatch or Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the reason being, I mean, a couple of reasons. One of the earliest stories I can remember my mother telling me. Uh, my dad used to be a contract carpenter, and he went where the work went. And there was a year and a half that we spent in Florida, in a trailer park right next to a grapefruit orchard. And we didn't really know about it in the trailer park, and we had only been there a few months. And my mother had put us down to bed. My dad was out of town for work, and my mother had the windows open because it was a relatively decent night in the late spring, early part of summer. And she said she was in the kitchen doing some cleaning, and she remembers this foul odor just kind of coming in through the window, and she didn't know what it was. She said it smelled like a wet dog. Is how my mother described it. But a lot more just pungent. Just the fact it just made her gag. And then she heard something rummaging through the two trash cans that they had sitting outside, right below the kitchen window. And this, of course, being a trailer in Florida, it's up on blocks, so it's not sitting on the ground. So the window's probably 7 or 8 feet up off the ground. And my mother said a shadow of something passed by that window and looked in at her and scared her to death.
Mm.
She ran into the bedroom where my sister and I were sleeping, and she slammed the door. And she stayed in there with us, just scared to death until finally a couple of hours later she went out and checked, and whatever it was appeared to have been gone, but it had gone through the trash cans and knocked him over. So I remember that story as a child, and then being here in the northern Georgia area. Cryptids are a big thing here. There's people with like metal cutouts and wood cutouts in their yards, and amongst the trees at the edge of their property. So if you go by quickly and you just kind of look out of the corner of your eye, you see what looks like a Bigfoot walking through. But if you slow down, take a closer look, it's just a metal cutout. But roadside stores and flea markets and things of that nature sell these things all over the place here. So I don't know that there's ever been any cryptid sightings in Georgia. I'm sure somebody would say there has, but I've never really looked into it. But definitely, Bigfoot's the one that jumps out at me when I think of cryptids. What do you think of, Stephen, when you think of cryptids?
Hate to be like the most basic guy ever, but it's got to be the Mothman, dude. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
every time if you look it up on the internet, it's like the first thing that comes up all the time. I also just
yeah,
kind of fell in love with, the Mothman story of like Point Pleasant and the fact that that town was failing and they decided let's make a cryptid, let's make an urban legend basically, and it's like
yeah,
revived that town. Like the whole story around it is so cool.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. And then they added it into Fallout, which was kind of cool.
yeah, and like there's so many like I mean I'm kind of an Appalachia nerd, just because it's kind of we have history there, and there's all kinds of really cool Appalachian things, like specifically to Appalachia, like the hide behind, which is a creature that if you look out of the corner of your eye, you see it peeking at you from behind a tree, but then when you look away, or when you look directly at it, it'll vanish.
It's gone.
And it
Yeah,
doesn't make sense
yeah,
because like the tree will be super slender and it's like this big thing. Um,
yeah.
I mean, just looking on Reddit, like some hilarious, the grafted monster, which is obviously in Fallout as well. That's a real thing. It's described as a large, hairless, bipedal beast with no visible head, which is
Yeah.
terrible.
There's
Um,
so many. You got the Beast of Bray Road in New
yeah,
Jersey.
yeah,
I mean,
New
there's
Jersey
just so many
Devil.
stories. Yeah, there's
Um,
so many different stories, and are they based on fact? Who knows? But hey, tell us your favorite cryptid story. What kind of cryptids are you interested in? Have you ever had an encounter with a cryptid? Drop us something in the comments. Talk to us. Let us know. Um, I will give you guys a quick movie suggestion if you're into cryptids. It's an old one and it's hard to find. It's from I think it's late 70s, maybe very early 80s. It's called The Legend of Boggy Creek,
hmm.
and it's four college students that are basically anthropologists, and they go down to this place called Boggy Creek. It's supposed to be a true story, based on a true story, of these kids going in after this like a Sasquatch type creature, and they in the swamp areas of Florida, and basically they have run-ins with it, and there were some deaths. So I remember seeing it as a kid when I was probably 9 or 10 years old, on late night TV on Saturday night. And I remember it scaring the crap out of me. And I've always wanted to see it again. I know there was a sequel made to it that was pretty bad, but the original one I remember being kind of scary. and you can't really find it anywhere. It doesn't stream anywhere. I've never seen a copy of it anywhere, but if you go online and look it up, Legend of Boggy Creek, you can find it. If you get a chance to see it, tell us what you think, because it was a pretty creepy movie when I was a kid. I don't know how well it holds up, but anyway, that's all we have for this episode number 6 of the MazeCast. Thank you for staying with us. We appreciate you guys coming over and spending a little time with us. Please engage us with some comments. I see some of our older videos are starting to get some more likes and views and some comments, so we hope that those people will find their way over here as well. We ask that you like this video if you liked it. Give us a subscribe. We'd love to have you guys on as subscribers. The more the merrier. Drop your comments down below and let us know what you'd like to see. If you have comments on things that we say, or if there's things that you'd like us to talk about, we would love to hear from you. But for tonight, that will be it. We'd like to thank you all again, and we would like to have you come back and return with us again to the maze in the very near future. Thanks. Good night, guys.
Bye, guys.